We're good?
We are good.
Okay.
We are indeed good.
All right. Well, and thank you for settling down in advance. So, I would like to welcome you all to the hopefully first Symposium on Diversity in LIS Education. We are absolutely delighted to have so many people here and want to thank you all for coming. My name is Paul Jaeger. I am an associate professor and the diversity officer here at the College of Information Studies. And as chair of the symposium, I'm also going to be emceeing the event. I would like to introduce, though, to you the co-chairs of the symposium, Dr. John Berteau and Dr. Megha Subramaniam. And the coordinator of this event is running the camera over there, Rebecca Oxley. I'm guessing probably almost each and every one of you had some sort of interaction with her via email already. But so, we're just amazed by the number of people who have expressed interest in this, and it's fantastic. There are, between today's event and tomorrow's event, more than 150 registrants. We have more than 20 speakers, and we really hope that this is going to lead to much great discussion at the event and perhaps spur some action going forward. Library and information professionals, as institutionalized in our Bill of Rights from the ALA nearly 80 years ago, work from the idea of equal access for all people. This underlying principle has been translated into numerous activities that our field performs and contributes to the communities, from materials for self-education, community meeting spaces, early childhood education, digital literacy training, helping people apply for social services, and on and on and on. The practice of library and information professionals really is an act of bridging social divides, be they socioeconomic, educational, literacy, language, gender, age, race, national origin, ability, geography. And our field has much to celebrate in its history in these areas. Being deeply involved in the civil rights movement, being a leader in the idea of gender equity in the workplace, more often than not standing on the right side of freedom of expression issues. And we also have a great deal to celebrate in the current role of this profession as being the standard bearer of the idea of the public good, an institution that really does exist to serve. Yet we've struggled over time with some key challenges related to diversity and inclusion. And that's why something like this is so important. The composition of our field doesn't reflect the society we serve. In race, most obviously, but in a lot of other ways too. In the mid-1990s, E.J. Josey had the wonderful observation that in the 30 years since the passage of the Civil Rights Act, the demographic composition of our field hadn't really changed statistically. And since he made that observation nearly 20 years ago, it still hasn't really changed. So this is a long-standing challenge and a long-recognized one. But we've never had a sufficient concerted effort in our field to do something about it. And so, as our nation is growing more and more diverse, as certainly reflected in major demographic changes that surprised more than a few people in terms of the election results a few days ago, being reflective of society, being able to speak to all the diverse needs in society becomes ever more important for our field. And to meet these increasingly diverse information needs, graduates of our programs need to be culturally competent from the moment they leave, because they're going to be serving an ever more diverse society. And this means being ready to work with all the different types of populations that I mentioned a few moments ago, and a lot more than that. And not being surprised and not being unaware of diverse information needs and behaviors and customs. So, in terms of information, in terms of education in our field, we have to be thinking of diversity in the most inclusive terms possible, because information touches everyone. And so the curriculum of our programs has to adapt and has to evolve much faster and much more effectively than it has so far to ensure that our graduates are ready to serve every member of their communities. We are hopeful that the dialogue and exchange of ideas and practices that begins in this symposium will continue at depth, real depth to create change and reflection about pedagogy in our field. We have an amazing set of speakers today and tomorrow, and they're going to help guide us through these issues and think about what we can do to confront them. We're only able to have this event with the contribution of 3 groups. And before we go any further, I want to make sure that they are acknowledged. You will hear from an amazing group of speakers over the next day and a half. We are just delighted by the wonderful people who are giving their time to be part of this. We also have an amazing set of volunteers who are all listed on the back of your program. They're also all wearing these nice coordinating t-shirts, and we are grateful for them as well. And 4 organizations actually funded this: the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the University of Maryland's Office of Diversity and Inclusion, the College of Information Studies, where you are now, and the Information Policy and Access Center. If you are following us on Twitter, or if you would like to start participating in this on Twitter, please feel free to join the conversation tonight and tomorrow. Hashtag LISDIV12 and @LISDiversity are the ways to be involved. And the back channel is actually being moderated by folks from the iDiversity student group. So if you have questions you want to post that way, they will make it to the conversation. And now our Dean, Jennifer Preece, is going to offer a welcome to the symposium from our college.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much, Paul. As the Dean of the College of Information Studies, it's of course a huge honor to be the Dean. It's also a huge honor to be invited to welcome you to this amazing event. And I'm very conscious of the fact that Paul has thanked everybody already for their wonderful contribution. I want to add my thanks as well on behalf of the College of Information Studies, Maryland's Information School, the iSchool. And of course, the one person who has not yet been thanked, but who's been behind a huge number of the things that I'm going to tell you about, is our Master of Ceremonies, and the chair of this is Professor Paul Jaeger. So I think he really deserves a big hand of applause. And Paul has given you a wonderful introduction about why this event is so important. I'm not going to talk so much about that, but I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we have been thinking about in the iSchool and some of the things that we've been involved in. Largely, I should say, with the leadership of the people that have been mentioned, Paul and John as co-directors of the Information Policy and Access Center, and also John Bateau is also the director of the Master of Library Science program, and of course all the students who are in the room and all of our faculty and staff as well. So what I'm going to be talking about is very much the work of that group of people, assisted by the deans who are in the room. Hi, Associate Dean Ann Weeks, and all the faculty and staff who are also here. It's become increasingly important, as Paul explained to you, to think about diversity and inclusion. And I don't think I need to tell people in the room this. You all realize that, that's why you're here. But certainly we've had a lot of discussion about this in the college and within the university as a whole. And although the University of Maryland is one of the universities that pays a huge amount of attention to diversity and inclusion. We're very conscious of the fact that there is much, much more work that we need to do across all types of diversity and inclusion. And Paul mentioned the one of the change in demography, which is, of course, one that is particularly everybody is aware of, because as we look around the room, we don't always, either in our classes or in our groups, have a representative cross-section of the demographic population of the United States. So just on that one thing alone, we have within our profession and within our college a lot of work to do. And then there are many other kinds of diversity and inclusion that we need to be thinking about. So within the college, largely led by Paul and John and Mega and our Master of Library Science committees, we've worked very hard to create the information and diverse population stream within the master's program, and that is a huge pride to us. And as Dean, I'm just absolutely thrilled and really excited about this. I knew it was growing very well. I knew we had a lot of students who were really interested in it. And it covers a whole range of different topics, but the kinds of things that are being taught in that program are things like universal usability, human rights, digital literacy and inclusion, the kinds of things that Paul mentioned to you in general. And I was absolutely staggered to hear that we have 75 students enrolled in that program. And that program has only been there for 3 years. I mean, it's phenomenally popular, and I think it speaks to everybody in this room, because I think you've all contributed, not just people in the college, but you've all contributed to the field. So I certainly take great pride in knowing that's happening, and I think all of you, not just people in the college, of course people in the college maybe especially for creating that particular track, but everybody who's here, whose enthusiasm, whose written work, who's spoken at conferences, can feel very good about that. And I know there are other programs in the country as well that are focusing on this topic. Paul mentioned that he is the diversity officer for our college. He is not only the diversity officer for our college, but he has been strongly instrumental in basically formulating the, if you like, brief for diversity officers, along with our Vice President for Diversity and Associate Provost for Diversity across the university. So Paul probably wouldn't get around to telling you this himself, I'm sure, but what Paul wrote as the kind of description for this has really been a model for the promoting of, or the appointment of diversity officers across every single of the 12 colleges in the University of Maryland. So I think, again, that's just a wonderful achievement. We get involved in a number of different things which we are doing to, not just within the classroom, but within the whole environment to, create a sense of diversity and inclusion. And one we oversee is the James A. Partridge Award, which we oversee in conjunction with Citizens for Maryland Libraries, and that is an award for an outstanding contribution by an African American information professional. And since we happen to have Emeritus Dean Ann Prentice here, who started that award, I want particularly to recognize that. And maybe you'd like to stand up, Anne, and wave to everybody. We also have a very, very exciting iDiversity student organization. And that again that is run by the students. It involves faculty, staff, and alumni. But since this is run by our students, I think this is particularly exciting. And many of the students who are sitting here and who are sitting in the other room are responsible for that. And that was started by Becca Oxley, who was cleverly manning the cameras before. But maybe you'd like to stand up and wave to Becca.
Thank you, Preece.
that, I'm just very happy. You know, as the University of Maryland, we are encouraged, because we're a research university, we're encouraged to do, of course, research. And one of the things that's very exciting to hear about is, over the years, our research has become, I think, increasingly applied, and we've had more and more students, again, led by the people I've mentioned already, but more and more students working on various topics within the sort of library science area, and actually some who are actually not here, but who you may meet tomorrow, or you may see their work, who are working on the human-computer interaction design issues of designing technologies for persons with disabilities. So again, thanks, I think, to a very large extent to the people who've organized today's event. The research is spreading, and this is not just faculty and doctoral students. A huge number of our master's students are doing research or joining in research projects in this area. So this is something that we've been interested in for a number of years, but I think over the last 2 or 3 years it has really, really taken off. So that is another thing that is happening that is, I think, extends across the whole of the student body, the faculty, the staff, all of you working in this area, our alumni, and within the area in general. So I'm thrilled about that. I think that is terrific. And many of our interns, of course, when they go out in summer programs, or our students, our alumni, when they go out into jobs, take that kind of training, enthusiasm, and knowledge with them. So that is wonderful too. And in fact, we're doing, I think, so well in this area that Paul, with a little bit of reminding from Paul, one of the things that I would love to see as a dean is to appoint an assistant professor who would have a specific research and teaching area in the area of diversity and inclusion. We will be looking for funds both within the university and also outside of the university. So if you have ideas that you would like to share with me, or any of the people here, faculty and here, about how we might actually make that happen, that would be a tremendous amount of help. But I think that's certainly a next step that we would like to go to. So I've talked a little bit longer than I expected, but I did want to tell you a little bit about the things happening inside, and also to recognize everybody who's been involved today. But I also just want to very warmly extend my welcome to you. We are just absolutely thrilled to have you here. And I just can't tell you how exciting this is to have so many people. I think you probably realize that we've got another room, because we couldn't fit you all into one place, where people are going to be able to hear the talk tonight. So thank you again, all of you, for coming. Thank you for your support. And just have a wonderful time. Enjoy exchanging ideas, meeting each other. I know the food's going to be good. Enjoy that too. And congratulations and welcome to all of you. Thank you.